All right, good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital, nightly strategy podcast for May 7th, 2024. We'll start with the hybrid swing portfolio. This begins with Alcoa. This is 30-minute charts. Today was a 1, 2, 3 entry, standard risk, about 0.5, and really not much follow through the rest of the day. So a fractional gain. It's holding support above all the anchored VWAP, so that's a good thing. Next up, AI. This was a sell-off and then a morning reversal, kind of a morning hook. So there's the standard entry, came back to the spine of the dragon, never really broke out, so we kept about another 0.5. There was a tradable move on the 3 minutes in here and one here, but I was not on the 3 minutes on that one, but those were tradable. Still a positive day today for AI. It held support levels. Caterpillar, gap and go, standard risk, 1R, standard exit at the skin of the dragon. And again, here's the standard entry, standard risk, and here's the peak of the RL10. So then we activate the stop at the skin of the dragon, and that captures a little over 1R. Cliff, this was a gap and then fail. It ran all the way up to here, reversed, 1, 2, 3 on the short side. Standard risk, this was where the market was getting weak. It just kind of droned, and then in the last hour, just exited while we could for about 1R. Missed that last gasp in the last half hour. CVS, this was a PSAR flip yesterday near the close. It opened here. There's a bit of a gap down and then a reverse. Continued higher, long, standard risk at the new high of the day. It ran all the way up. This is where the R10 reverses. I took a 1-bar low exit instead of waiting for it to come all the way down here. I just wanted to preserve a little more, and that kept about 0.5. DIA, this was not much going on here. This was a gap and go, and basically scratched in the sideways all day. Walt Disney, no trade, big gap, sell off. So that's going to be in play the next couple, 2, 3 days, but nothing today. Devon Energy, this was a gap and reversal for a fraction. Emerging markets, this was, here was the close, gapped down to here. Again, that's typical of EEM, enormous gaps. So that's why I don't hold them overnight. It sold off here and continued to fail. So we got short. It reversed, ended up taking a fractional loss and stopped in reverse and got a fractional gain. So that basically, it felt like a scratch for the day. I missed the afternoon sell off. I was done with it. ETHE, this was a crossing of the dragon, speculation for an R, opportunity trade. EWW, this was a, here was a, it ran up, sold off, short, standard risk, reversed. When it came back to the Bollinger Band mean, even though the R10 was still down, I needed to preserve 1R. So we took it right here, and then it just went sideways all day. So got to cash them when you can. EWZ, gap and go for an R. Home Depot, this was a gap up. Here was the close. Big gap up, ran all the way up here, reversed when it came through the VWAP again, speculated short, hoping for a return to the Bollinger Band mean. It did, and just kept selling off all day. And then in the last hour, I took the exit at the skin of the dragon there after the R10 reversed. When the R10 reverses, I accelerate the stop to the dragon. And that returned almost 3R. Intel was a gap and go for a fraction. It reversed intraday for a sell-off, which turned into about an R and a hard sell-off. So that was well rewarded. Reversal of fortunes. IP was a gap up, big gap up, and ran all the way up, came all the way down, got short here, reversed, took it at the VWAP for about 2R. That one was strange. IYR was a gap and go for a fraction. Coke was a gap and drop. What came through the VWAP got short, standard risk. After the R10 bottoms out, took the rebound here for about an R. Regional banks collapsing dragon for an R. Lots of singles today. McDonald's was a collapsing dragon for 1.5R. 3M collapsing dragon, 1R. Merck, this was a gap and go. Stayed with it. When it crossed the 10-day anchored VWAP, it had left behind a 3-day, 5-day, 30-day, and now the 10-day. It felt like it was on the side of the angels, and it ran up. And I felt really optimistic about this. And so that was my alert to cash 4R on the first one and 2R on the second one for a total of 6. Good trade. And more of that one to follow tomorrow, I think. This was a closing of yesterday. We kept the third position open. There was no more follow through on Microsoft. All it did today was from the open, it gapped up and then just kept selling off into the PSAR. That kept the third position still in the money, but we exited with a pretty nice trade for a 3-day. This was 5R, this one was 2R, that one was 1R. So total net was about 8 over this span of time. The slide continued, so we'll see if that rebounds tomorrow. Marijuana, this was a collapsing dragon all day for 3R. Nike, gap, and then came back through the VWAP, so I get short when the R10 rolls over, and that collects half an R. Standard exit at the skin of the dragon. NVIDIA, we closed the 2 position long from yesterday at the gap down. Then when it reversed intraday, I tried it long again for about an R, but it did not make new highs, so that I think the run in NVIDIA is temporarily over. Clean energy, collapsing dragon for an R. Palantir, 15% sell off at the opening and just got smoked all day, but it didn't fail further. So I'm thinking that's going to be seen pretty quickly as a buy on dip opportunity, and I'll be ready for that. Rivian, gap way up. I was slow to get short in here. I waited till the second bar, and by this time I finally had to get short. It still continued to sell. We got 2, but man, it sure left a lot on the table from that opportunity. SOUN, no trade. The S&P was basically sideways quiet. Tesla, I tried after the big gap down, I tried a 1, 2, 3 entry. It went nowhere. I thought about the short, which would have paid off, but I didn't take it. No willpower. Well, Walmart gap and a gap and go. And after it peaked here at the high of the day and sold back to the VWAP, I preserved 1R. US Steel, gap and go for a fraction. Industrials, gap and go for a fraction. And Let's see, sniper trade of the day. This is EWW Mexico on 3 minutes. So here's the OR3. It reversed here. I tried the long on the recovery. It failed for half an hour. I stopped and reversed with the standard risk. It sold off. Here's where the R10 reverses. So I take the skin of the dragon exit for 2R. So we're at net 1.5 now. It rolls up, finds support or resistance, I should say, at the Bollinger Band mean and the VWAP, and then breaks down again. Comes out of the dragon, so I'm short. It gives me a collapsing dragon second position. And I cover both of those after the R10 reverses, take the skin of the dragon exit. First position is 4, second position is 2. That's nets 6 on that move. And that that was good for the day. Trade EWW, fellas. Let's see. Brian, with the Aussie US dollar on the 5s, tries like a COTA 2 short, micro loss. Trade 2 was his revenge trade, he called it. Micro loss, tried the stop and reverse micro loss. At that point, he decided just to let it go. This was the trade, of course, that paid off a series of COTA 3s or COTA 2s, and even an SSC and a COTA 2 here. So there's more coming in the future. He managed his risk pretty well. Still got a nice cushion of capital. So still doing good. Hamad. I like this short as an OR3. It reverses, so he cuts it. He waits for the OR3 to break out. It reverses, he cuts it. I think I'd be done there. If you were going to trade that, though, I think when it comes 1, 2, 3 entry and it's breaking below the VWAP and it's already sold off hard, that to me is the place. I get this as a new low of the day. When this holds support at the VWAP and reverses, you got to make that a scratch. And then everything after that, I think, is over trading. Palantir. After a 15% sell-off, or maybe I think it was 12% this morning. It would be unlikely for that to follow through, but it's worth a shot. When that doesn't work, you could get short right there and just ride this whole thing. I think you were trying to make sure you could get some successful trades in there. And so we did not get the full value out of that move. That's worth a shot. When it doesn't follow through, and this doesn't follow through, I wouldn't take that trade. You didn't get hurt on those. But the smoke had to clear on that one, I guess. It's just not widely enough traded that you get a lot of institutional money chasing it, to be honest. Rivian. I think those first 2 trades I understand. When those don't work, I think I'd leave it alone and find a mover. You're trying to make it happen through here, and then you get tired of it, and then that's when the trades happen naturally. This one is one I think you should be looking at carefully because you've had range expansion, you've got a stable VWAP, you've got a clear breakdown away from this consolidation. The reversal was a lower high. That makes this a perfect kata 2 short, and this one a perfect kata 2 short. So you're trying to get on things early and often. This afternoon lunch, when you've had a chance to come back and study actual price action, it's a little slower and a little more stable. But consider EWW. I don't see you trading that one. I think you should. IP, that's a good trade. That's a good stop and reversal with the target back to the VWAP. I like that short. It didn't hurt you. IP is going to continue to be in play. Kevin pulls in 4.5 R on the 3 minutes on EWW, trading it right by the numbers. No improvements. On the 30-minute, it was a little choppier. Still pulls in 0.1. I think if you used bar charts, it would be less distracting for you. See what you can do with bar charts on that, and you can get more data on the screen and be less distracted by the width of the bars. Like, I think like when this fails at that low of this bar, so it opens here and tries to go up and comes back to here, and then breaks below that low. I think this short here could be taken somewhere at that price level when it makes a new low of the day. And then I think I'd rather see you taking this exit over in here. I like that long, and you stayed with it. You got a rising RL10, and this is where it was supposed to work, but it didn't, so you kept it in the money. I like the reentry. I love the reentry. That's probably a 3R battle drill. The 2R battle drill would be here, which would have made this one a scratch instead of losing 1.4. Here's what I got to say also. If you've got this and this thing reverses quick, somewhere along the boundary of that dragon, you got to get out. Letting that become a 1.4 loss, which negates the 1.4, to make this a scratch just feels brutal. So you actually have to exit more quickly after, like, it right inside the same bar, this thing violated through the RL10, and there's the R10 rolling over. So technically you can get out here, which is an improvement over this. And remember, the money that you save on that little fraction is on 2 positions, and that makes it a winning day. Good effort, good scratch, didn't chase. Good effort, you preserved a win. The stop and reverse in the afternoon, I don't know if there's enough time on your schedule to be short in here, but when this thing runs up and then can't even break above the VWAP again and then breaks through the VWAP, that's a potential short on your 30-minute chart. If this second trade was ever at 0.7 in the win and started to reverse, I might want to try to neutralize the loss on this one, but that's a good exit on that one to preserve capital, and same on this one. So still pretty good. I think just a little better technique on this second position in here would have made us pretty happy, because at one point you were up 3R and ended up giving back. You end up giving back 1.4 on 2 positions, because remember, you're losing the gains on this one. And so that's when you have 2 positions on, you got to be much faster to cut it. Oops. All right, that's everything we're going to cover tonight. Oh, wait, let me get the report up here. Please stand by. Accidentally closed it. Um, the quiet move in the S&P today puts it within walking distance to the all-time high. That's been a pretty stable little move here. So I don't feel that optimistic for some strange reason. The higher this goes during this move, then more negative bias I detect in myself. So I got to make sure that doesn't stop me from taking the long side positions like I normally do. But this has been quiet chugging north. It actually looks stronger than I feel. Yeah, so this is let me get the 30-day in here. Sorry, don't mean to keep jumping around. My trigger fingers itchy here. Yeah. So this is the 3-period anchor VWAP is up. The 5 is up. The 10 is up. The 30 is rolling up. So that's all. Those are all in a good position, and price today was well above that. So the first resistance you get is up here at the peak of the dragon, right there, and then the all-time high is right there. All it has to do is get through 525, and that's percent away. By the same token, that failure has a long way to come back to test, but we're on the right side of the Bollinger Band mean, so I'm cautiously optimistic here. Got to be. This is a buy on dip move with a COTA 2 in play. Got to trade what you see. Strong move today. Still bullish volatile, good strength short term, risk on, volatility favorable. Lots of auto framers available. Strength in Procter and Gamble, Texas Instruments, Walmart. Disney got slaughtered. Tesla got hurt today too. The ETFs responded pretty nicely. There was strength in Asia less Japan and EFA, and diamonds were good. Stronger than the S&P actually. Consumer staples, industrials, and healthcare all looking good. Dominated by spring and summer still. Lots of strength across the board with a few notable exceptions. McDonald's was weak. Tesla got hit hard. Pfizer, after a good run up, has gotten hit. But real strength in Coke and Walmart and Procter and Gamble. That's the old reliables there. Standard work on the trading value list. And that little recovery, that little COTA 2 recovery is looking good. It's pushing the top of the river. And the RL30 Z-score has definitely reversed, and the 90 is getting ready to reverse. And there's still room for the RL10 Z-score to improve. So this is all systems go to the upside. I mean, I got to be ready for that tomorrow. All right, take good care, guys. We'll get this published and posted. See you tomorrow.